So have you wondered how to take fabric that's for a sew along and convert that into what you have in your stash? Maybe you want to know how to make a free quilt while you're making something else. I'm Pat Sloan. This is my fireside chat here on Monday night. Thank you for being here, friend. I'm so happy to have this time with you on Monday nights. And of course, if you're watching it on rerun, it might be another day of the week, which is totally good. So remember, everything I talk about is down on the links below. So let's first go on to our sew along. The Block Wednesday, that is Wednesday, let's see, it's going to start the 29th, which is next Wednesday, not this coming one. So another week and a couple of days. It's called Childhood Games. And if you had my newsletter last night, or if you opened it this morning, I asked you what was your favorite childhood game. And so many people have just hit that reply button and let me know. It's been so fun. It's been so fun. I actually forgot about some games that you shared, and some I didn't know about, or maybe only knew about. So that's been really fun. I'm going to share some of those when we first start next Wednesday. But let's talk about the fabric, because I pulled a custom bundle and this is what it looks like. And so we're going to take a peek, because I know that some of you will get the bundle. We only make so many, and when they're gone, they're gone. And so that means some of you will be using what you have in your own collection, or you might be using another type of bundle. So I want to talk about this. It's a lot of fun to work with a group of fabric. So when I do the Block Wednesdays, what I do is I am sewing along pretty much with you, and I have a larger group of fabric usually, so that I have more options. These are all fat quarters, and then a big piece of background fabric. I think it's 2 yards, but download the supply list to be sure at the link. So you can translate this into your own fat quarter bundle, but let's take a look. Let's take a look at what I selected. I am so excited about this. It is happy, happy fabric. And that's the idea. This is Childhood Games. It should be happy, happy fabric. And so I have not childish fabric, but sort of happy, fun prints. And let me see, I'm going to do it this way, because some of these have images on them, which was the really fun part. Look at this. I think it's maybe a wolf and a crane and a deer. So I have this group here. Got to have a stripe. Love a stripe. And we've got greens, aquas, oranges. Look at this, clothespins. Can you see that? Let me get a little closer. These are clothespins. So we've got some more aqua. And the green kitties. I know that one's upside down. I was trying so hard to you can see them. Kitty cats. A plaid, I love plaids and checks, so you have a lot of that. Gorgeous, gorgeous aqua butterflies with yellow. And this is kind of a plum color here, deep plum. Little pink check, and a bigger green gingham. And then here's a very, very light green and another light green. So that is this group, but there's more, because I wanted a lot of selection for this quilt. It's going to be a little bit of a bigger lap quilt, probably a little bigger than what I said on the supply list. I just don't know yet where it's going to go. I don't usually decide that on the Block Wednesday for a little bit. So I've got some navies now with the dots. Here's more with animals. Here's a sloth and a tiger. Whoopsies over here. The tiger you couldn't see there. It's got like a little lizard on there. Then I've got, let's see, let me get this apart here. The other blue ones have bunnies and a nice little print with sort of like an orange peel. The birds, this is like birds in the air. Letters, love letters. Let's see, I love this galloping horses. There's gonna be a couple big spaces in some of the blocks where we can showcase these larger prints. Another green. It's a little darker than the greens that were in that stack. And reds, of course, gotta have reds. I have a couple of reds and another orange, and apples on another orange still, and here's a reddish gingham. So those are all of the colors. and all of the fabrics rather, in the bundle that I'll be using. Now, let me sort of put these side by side. Here we go. So if you are at home and you want to create your own custom bundle, then what I would do would be to look at all the colors. Let's say you're going to pull from your stash. So I've got pinks and oranges and greens, and so let's take like the green. So there is one green, there's a green plaid, so if you can mimic a plaid, that's 2, a green gingham, 3, there's a very light green here, which is 4, and another light green, which is 5, and then I've got 6 for this other green. So that means there's like 6 green fabrics that if you wanted to mimic, you could pick 6 green fabrics from your collection. And then do the same for each colorway. For navy, I've got 1, and they're different shades. Dark navy, just sort of medium with a lot of print. Third one is got a lot of white on it. Fourth one reads much more navy. Fifth one is light blue. And the sixth one has a big print on it. So that would be 6 navy prints. And then go through each of the colors like that. And what this will do will be allow you to mimic color placement. So that if you want to do the color placement on your blocks similar to my color placement, then you'll just be using your fabrics. Now, if you want the bundles, remember there's not that many. We do really limited number. So if you grab one, great, and then I'll probably end up putting links to some of these fabrics because there'll still be yardage of it, so you could grab a half a yard or something of, or I'm sorry, you know, of whatever yardage that you want of these. These are fat quarters. But mix it up, get some stripes, get some dots, get some ginghams, get some prints that are playful, like I had with the animals and the leaves and the horses. All of those add to the mix and make, you know, childhood games, I think, really, really fun. What's been fabulous too is that your emails you've been sending me listing what your childhood games, your favorite ones are, they tend to be a lot of board games. And so I thought that was really fascinating. So I'm also interested in childhood games that are not board games. You had things like hide and seek and you know, jacks and some other things like that. I'm sort of dig deep. I'm looking to also showcase some games that are maybe a little bit different. I know I have one from my childhood that I'll be sharing. That's something that, I don't know, maybe we made it up. There's actually 2. So I don't know, maybe we're just weirdos, like weird kids. What are you weird kids doing? But we made up our own games, and I will be curious when I share those to see if anybody else, which I'm sure that we were not the only ones that did this, but dig back into your memory. I would love to know. Leave me a comment here at YouTube, at Facebook, at my website, telling me just some childhood games that you played that maybe were not the regular games, that a board game or a regular kickball kind of game. It is going to be so fun. So it starts the Wednesday the 29th, next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, the last Wednesday of January, and goes, I think, till the end of May. And so we'll be making 1 block a week, and they're very simple and they're pieced. And they will be a variety of sizes. So that we're not going to do just 12-inch blocks this time. I'm going to have a couple of different sizes and a fun layout. So if you've never done it that way, this will be your first one, and you'll love it. You will love it. Believe me. I hope you'll love it. People tend to love it. Okay. So we've been working on Traffic Jam here at our neighborhood on Facebook and all over the internet, Instagram, everywhere. The Traffic Jam is my free pattern to use up 2.5-inch squares and 4.5-inch squares. And it makes kind of like a free quilt as you go along, which I think is way fun. You know, it's much more fun to just do something mindless and use up scraps. So I finished the baby size. Ta-da! I am so excited to have this done. And I showed a picture on my Facebook group this morning of it done. There it is. I'll hold it back a little bit. There you go, so you can see all of the blocks. And this one, it was pretty scrappy. I didn't try to control the fabrics other than I used a couple of dark charcoal in each block, light greens, and sort of acidy greens for the most part, except for I see this one here. He's kind of like a regular grassy green, isn't he? Oh well, so much for that. And then I had light gray. So it was controlled, but there was still a lot of variety, which means that the blocks, the plus sign does not, this is a traffic intersection in case you're wondering, it does not have a lot of high contrast to the square. Unlike the navy one that I did for my brother, which has super high contrast, which is also, it's ready for binding now. So okay, let me just put that gray one over there. Oh, the back. I showed this online, but I'll show it here. I forgot. The backing is a very old fabric by Cosmo Cricket, who doesn't make fabric anymore or paper. But you may have, if you're a scrapbooker, you may know their fabric, their patterns from scrapbooking. So this was Cosmo Cricket, and it's an alphabet. And for some reason, I ended up with quite a bit of yardage of this. This did not make a dent. There will be lots of baby quilts with that alphabet on the back of it. I've decided I'm going to make a whole group of baby quilts. Just keep them. I don't know anybody else having babies right now, but I think it's a good idea. When I was in high school, my friend's mother crocheted baby outfits, you know, like the little sweater and a little jumper thing. They were so precious. But what her mother did was she loved to crochet, so she just made these all the time. And there was actually a dresser, they had this dresser drawer filled with outfits ready to be given to any new babies that came along. And I have always remembered that, and I've always thought that is the coolest thing. So I'm going to do that with baby quilts. I'm going to make quilts about that size and just have a collection of them. That's going to be my new thing. I said it here first. Anybody do that? Anybody like stack them up ready to go? I mean, you can keep them as a top for a while, you know, and then you use that wave stitch like I did. Remember the wave stitch? Let me show it to you again. Because the wave stitch is really, really fast and easy, especially on a baby quilt. Doesn't take long. So I could just save the tops with that alphabet backing. Everybody gets alphabet backing. So here is the blue and white. I'm not going to hold it up. I will do a picture of it on Wednesday. I will show you. I still have to have binding. But here is, so you can see the higher contrast of the plus of the traffic intersection is a much higher contrast than the gray, because the blues are all that deeper color blue against whites or whites with very little pattern. So it's much higher contrast. So there is the quilting, which is actually a Grateful Dead pattern. If you, my brother's likes Grateful Dead, so it's got the bear and the lightning and the roses, and I'm not going to tell him, so don't tell him, because I want him to figure it out when he gets it. And he won't get it till the middle, well, about 3.5 weeks from now, which is when his birthday is, so middle of February. Yes, 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 yes. So our other, let's see, do we want to talk? No, let's talk about this. Let's do, I could always have more things to talk about than time. You know, we could be here for hours and hours, but we're not. So I have tool talk. Let's talk to tools. And then we'll do sew along. So I've got my rolling assistant back here, and I have to tell you something goofy that I've done. Well, I haven't done it yet, but I got the tools. I've got the tools. I decided that, all right, it's like true confessions, okay? Like, don't tell anybody I really told you this, because they're going to be like, really? This is what she's talking about? It's like, yes. So this is a sock. And there's a hole in it. And it annoys the crap out of me, because these are wool socks, and they're not cheap, and they're not that old either. I haven't been wearing them that long, and I got a hole in the end. So what I did is I bought a darning mushroom. Darning eggs is usually what they're called. And I don't have a darning egg. I don't own a darning egg. I don't even own any vintage ones. So I found out there was actually darning mushrooms. And so I'm like, well, heck, that's a lot cuter than an egg. So I got the darning mushroom. So you put the darning mushroom into the sock, and probably you just turn it inside out, but I didn't bother. And then there, I will be able to, so you can see the mushroom inside there, I will be able to darn this opening. So I asked some friends who I thought might know about darning because they basically know everything, my local friends. And it turns out darning isn't just like whip stitching it closed. Often it's actually weaving it shut and creating a new weave, or trying to connect the fibers there. I thought, well, that's interesting. So I went online and I looked up darning, and darning socks specifically, and I found a gentleman. I had to find it. I saved his video, but he was darning very expensive men's Italian socks, wool Italian socks, dress socks, very pricey ones. And so I thought, oh, that was it. And he had a very good technique. He is very good at explaining it. And so now I think I'm going to do it with 40 weight Aurifil. I think that's what I'm going to use. My biggest problem is I don't want to feel it. I don't want to feel that on my toes because I'm weird like that. So there you go. Now that if you darn things, let me know, because my friends haven't done it for a very long time. They were like, thought I was nuts, basically. So, hey, I can be nuts. I can be nuts. And the other, so that's my tool. That's my tool talk. But also I wanted to tell you that I've been getting some super cute notepads because I like to take little notes. I like to have these little notepads around, put my groceries on and whatever. And I found out there was some super cute ones. And so it's got scissors on it. Look at that. I just love them. So I had to show you because I've been using this by my computer, and I gotta say, I just think it's so cute. So that was my other fun thing. Now, if you are shopping for any things I mentioned, there's a link below so that I list everything, so you can go right to it. And I thank you for using my links because that helps our small family business, and it doesn't cost you a darn thing extra. It's, you know, and I try to find the best price when I link to you. So there you go, and I appreciate it. Greg and I really thank you for being able to do that for us. I forgot. When I was showing you the traffic jam, showing you the traffic jam quilts, I got from Diana. Yeah, Diana, and she lives in Virginia, and she had shown us on the Facebook group this traffic jam jelly. Look at that. So she shared a picture of that, and somebody else shared a picture. Yeah, she didn't share the picture originally. Somebody else shared a picture, and then she said in the comments she would send me some. So Diana, thank you. And this morning I had it on toast, and several people asked me what's in it. So I have to read through the bifocals. Sugar, of course, peaches, strawberries, red raspberries, cherries, cranberries. And so to me, it tasted like a much milder raspberry, had a more raspberry jelly, raspberry jam flavor. But isn't that neat? I now want to know the history of why, because somebody else shared a container of traffic jam. So I don't know if that's a thing, like a traffic jam has always got these contents. I don't know. If you know, tell me. So sew-alongs. Speaking of the baby quilts, you know, I usually have the glow quilt behind me if I'm sitting on the other side of my sewing machine. Here are the 4 blocks that I did that make a baby quilt. And so this is up now to be quilted because I do know somebody that has a friend having a baby. And so I thought, well, I might give it to them to give it to the baby. So this is up to get the wave quilting done on it. And we are doing quilts from Bonnie Lane. And so behind me is Drive Down Bonnie Lane. It's back from visiting the quilt shop. So let me just squeeze up here and show you. So there's the 2 houses. We've done the top row. The houses, we've done all the trees. We've done all the big stars. And we're going to be working on the 2nd row. So we'll be doing the house, the 2nd house next. and it is so darling. I want to show you. I have parts, you know, here's the second house, because, you know, I work ahead for that. So this will be on Thursday, is Bonnie Lane Sew Along Day, and I'll also be rebooting the third one, so because there's still some kits left, so that you can get a kit and we can do the third one as a table topper. So here is this the big house, the second big house. And if you are doing this either with my Bonnie Lane or some other fabric, you could personalize this with the windows and the door. You can make them other colors. This just happens to be what we did for this quilt. And this design is from my friend Barb at Coach House. And then here is the lantern that I have clipped on here so I don't lose it in all of this process. And the tree is in the bag. So this will all become, you know, that piece. Let me just move. So it'll all become that house piece on the left. And then the next time we'll do the quilts, the little mini quilts, which are so stinking cute. And I will give you an alternate also idea I have for an alternate kind of quilt, so you can make two different kinds to put on there, or both just like the pattern. All right. So we did, let's see, what do I got? So I taught you about Block Wednesday. All this is on Thursday, is the next post for this Thursday for all of that. Okay. So the other thing coming up is the Charity Quilt Along. And the Charity Quilt Along has a cross stitch element this year, which is so exciting. So I decided that I really needed to, I mentioned this last time, I needed to get my cross stitch going. I want to do it. I just, it's new to me. I really have done only one cross stitch in my whole life, and it was like this big. And it was like, you know, like 22 years ago. So I started up about a year ago, and then I kind of put it away. So I have collected some patterns, but I decided that I'm going to get it out. And I'm doing this one with all the seasons, because I thought that I wanted to do something tiny. Now the charity one will be broken up, and each part will be fairly small. It is so stinking cute. And so that won't be much time at all when each charity block comes out. But I thought I wanted to just do something that's finished like every month, and I thought that would encourage me. And maybe I won't do all the parts on it. Maybe I'll make them a little less dense. You know, they have a lot on there. It just depends on my time. So I was stitching. Okay, so this is how far I got. Really, I just started. So this is how far I got. Okay, so that's I used a pinky red instead of the orange. And then this is the frame around the word frost. And then I realized today, yes, today I realized that today is the 20th. And the next one is a Valentine for February. And I thought, I'm not going to have, I know I'm not going to get this stitched up for January to use it. So I am thinking about Plan B. I'm thinking of being either super realistic, which is to skip all the way to March, start March, so I have it for March, and then finish up with next February. Or try for February between now and the end of the month. But really that's not very realistic for me. I think I have a little bit too much other stuff going on, and because I'm new at this and maybe a little bit slow, and February is very full, and I like the way February looks. So you look at February, it's got a lot on it. And so I'm thinking I will skip right to March. So look at March. March has got like the little leprechaun. So tell me what you think. Tell me if you think that is a good plan to skip. Was that what you would do? give me some guidance here. No, I'm thinking, originally I was going to skip to February, but I thought, you know, I'm not going to be able to finish all that and enjoy it for all of February. So I think I'm going to skip to March, and then this will go the whole way around. So if you want to stitch along with those and then stitch along with the charity quilt, Bloomtopia, I'd love to have you stitching with me, and I will show it on here every week. This is my commitment to myself on the Fireside Chat, to show you where I am with the cross stitch. It's accountability. It's accountability. Yes, I have to come and tell thousands of people what I've accomplished or not accomplished. Yeah, that's good, right? Okay. So I want to look forward thinking to a little bit later this year, because books are 40% off. I told you that last week. They're still 40% off my books, but they're 40% off all the books over Connecting Threads. And so I just realized, well, I have something I'm planning for later this year, so you could pick up the book now. First off is the brand new book, Farm Girl Vintage 2, is on sale, 40% off. These books are thick, they're spiral bound, they have a zillion patterns in it. And so I was looking through this one and I thought, oh, with the traffic jam that Diana sent me, the jelly, I thought I could just make, I can't show you the directions, I could just make the little jam jar. Look at that, look how cute it is. And the little jam jar, you can do a 6-inch. So I thought, I have, can you see that heart over there that's on my wall? Yeah, right behind the lamp. That holds a 6-inch block. So I thought I could make the jam block and either make it as a mug rug or just a 6-inch block and hang it up. I just think it'd be so cute. And I just noticed there's carrots in here too. Those sound cute. But anyways, this book, if you've been eyeing it, now is the time. Oops, I got the. Now is the time to pick up any of the books you're looking at. So we'll link over to this one. The other thing that I want to do is a Christmas in July sew-along. So this is the first you're hearing about this. I want to do a Christmas in July sew-along. I think there'll be more than one, but this is the one I really want to do. The cars with the trees on it. This. I want to do this quilt for me. And so I thought, well, let's do a sew along. So I'm going to look into doing a bundle of fabric for this, but you can get the book, Vintage Christmas. This Vintage Christmas is just like the Farm Girl Vintage. They have these little blocks and then they have a whole bunch of other patterns. So these are by Lori Holt, who puts like 8 million things into each of our books. They're great value and they're an amazing value at 40% off. So I want you to pick up the Christmas Vintage if you don't have it yet, and if you are interested in sewing along and making one of these with me in the summer, stay tuned. And that's like lap size. So it will be great, and if for some reason you want it a bit smaller, you could do less cars. It's super easy to adjust. So those are important things to keep in mind, because they're going to be things that we're going to work on in the summer, and it's always nice to be able to pick up your book when it's on sale. That's why I say if you use my links, I'm always finding what's on sale, keeping track of that, things that we want to work on so that we have it. Okay, so I mentioned when we're doing things like any kind of sewing, if you wanted to create a traffic jam quilt, I'll hold this up again. I should have just brought one block, but I didn't think of it. Okay, so if you want to create blocks for a traffic jam quilt while you're sewing other things, it's super easy. This is what I do. Let me show you. I keep a basket right now of these lights because I'm creating one with a light plus sign, a light, traffic intersection. They'll all be light, and then I'm using this fabric, as many as I can get out of this fabric that I have, which I've had for a long time. It's nowhere to be found anymore, but I'm going to use it all up. So I have this bin like this. So as I'm starting any kind of patchwork, I will take 2 pieces and put them together. These are the 2.5, and I will just sew them through. And then once I have a stack of 2 patches, I'll sew them into 4 patches. And the 4 patches are what then make up the traffic jam block. So you basically can make another quilt while you're sewing something else. And it doesn't take any extra time. And the reason why people, me and a lot of you, use these start and stop units, sewing 2 pieces together when you start and stop, is because it keeps the threads from jamming, and it also saves thread in a lot of ways, because if you're pulling out long each time, you're wasting some thread. If you're just sewing something, which is useful, then you only have a little connector thread in between them. And it doesn't take a lot of time. Eventually, once you start sewing the actual blocks up, that can take a bit of time. But if you're just sewing 2 patches and 4 patches, they go really quickly. They're not going to waste your time, and you're just doing this when you need to remove your work from the machine. So let's say you're chain piecing a bunch of stuff, and then now you need to remove it. You take 2 blocks, sew them through, leave them, clip, then you take off the project that you're working with. So I hope that makes sense. Yes, I hope it does. Okay, I had one other thing. I had one other thing that came. I love in the Facebook group, Quilt Along with Pat Sloan, that so many people have questions and they ask really significant things. You know, they have either, you know, somebody might ask a question about how to fix something, you know, they're having trouble with something, how does something work, what is your opinion on this technique or this tool or whatever. But also sometimes there's just questions that come up that are more, in a way, more philosophical. I don't know that they mean it like that, but I think that's how the answers come out. And one came up recently from our friend Tina in the group, because she's been making quilts and she loves making quilts, and now she has given them to a lot of her family and her friends, and they're all like, okay, yeah, we have one. You know, and now she wants to know, well, she wants to keep making them, but what does she do with them? And everybody was so lovely, because you have loads of places that you give quilts to. You give to charities, you give to centers to help people, you give to somebody you know that needs a hug, you give to your husband's co-worker's wife that's in the hospital. I mean, just amazing gifting that goes on. But I stepped back a little bit, and I wanted to sort of look at it as like a little bit more of a philosophical way about why we all make quilts. We make things because we like to sew. We want to produce a product. It makes me remember when I was learning to quilt, one of the local shops had this little local group that you went every month, and we did some block swaps, which then, you know, she used as a sample in the store, and then you got to keep it afterwards. And so it was really fun. I got to meet some really nice ladies. But the one lady just stuck in my head forever and ever and ever what she said. She goes, I'm a topper. She goes, I just make tops. She goes, I don't want to quilt them. I just like to sew. I just like to sew tops. And I just thought that was fascinating, because I thought, well, I don't personally need to do something with my quilt, but you know, eventually you get a lot of them, particularly if you have a lot of time to sew, they accumulate. So I always wondered what she ended up doing with all of her tops. So she ended up giving them away to be sewn. I've done that. I've had tops that I've done for projects here that we do online, and I don't ever intend to make them into quilts, and so I've given them to friends who then in their guilds, they have a charity arm that will quilt them and give them to a charity. But I thought about that for the everyday quilters, that it's your hobby and you want to make things, and you have run out of places, personal people you know, to give it to. So basically you have to step back and think about your making. Do you still want to sew and make quilts? Then are you willing to just give them away freely? Like, nobody's paying anything, you're putting all the time and money and effort into it, but it is your enjoyment, it's your hobby, you've made it, and then now you release it. You release it out to give somebody else joy, a hug, a comfort, a celebration, a thank you. That is what you do. Now, if that's a little troublesome for you, like for some people that's like, oh, I don't want to spend all that money and then just give it away. Maybe you don't mind the time, but it's the money. Well, then you could look at more inexpensive options for your fabric. You can do thrifting. You can look at the deep discount sales. Always look at all of the things that are going on for like the monthly deals or the weekly deals for ways to save money putting into your hobby. But I hope that if you love making, and that you won't just stop because you don't know what to do with the finished product. I hope that, and I'll link to Tina's, write up, just because there were so many great suggestions. So if anybody has, is looking for a place, or like, I can't think of where to give it, there's like 700 ideas in there. So it's amazing. Lots of things I hadn't thought about, like keeping some for giving, like, to somebody in the hospital that you probably don't know, but here they're, troubled, and so that's a way to give a hug to somebody. So that is my thoughts on making. I hope everybody still makes, and that you sort of work out in your mind the making and the gifting or giving or using of what you do. For some people go a little, just real quick, some people will go a little bit different avenue. They might decide to do more complex quilts that take longer, so you make fewer. You're still working on them all the time, but the satisfaction is in the doing of them, such as the Splendid Sampler, which is the one where we had, I just happen to have it here, like the Splendid Sampler has like a ton of little blocks. So, these, like, here's a bunch of they're little 6-inch blocks, and they're all different. This is not a fast quilt. So you could definitely work on this quilt for a very long time, and you would not, you would not be pumping out a lot of quilts to get rid of. A lot of people will pick up embellishing on quilts or embroidery, different things that maybe are smaller but still has you making. So don't ever give up on making if that feeds your soul. Find a way to work in your realm of financial and time and just psyche of what you want to do with your quilts. Yeah, so that's our philosophical portion of the month. Thank you for that question. It was an awesome question. Made a lot of people think and gave some really good, interesting feedback. All right, so I have a book last week that I showed you. This one is brand new, Sisterhood of Scraps. Sisterhood of Scraps. I wanted to say quilts. I knew that wasn't right. Sisterhood of Scraps, scrap quilts from my friend Lisa Alexander, and it has all different quilt blocks that she and another designer made the same, like a 9-patch, a log cabin. So I asked you to leave me a comment last time on what was your favorite block, and this book is going to go to Rayanne O'Neill, who said her favorite is to use half square triangles. Yes, half square triangles, because they're so versatile. You can do so many things with it. So this will go to you, Rayanne. I will be emailing you, or I have emailed you. Thank you, everybody, for joining me this week on the Fireside Chat, and I will see you online, always online, and I will do pop-ins. I've been doing a few more of those, so those are my short little 3 to 5 minute videos to say hello, talk about something. You never know what they'll be, and they'll be randomly through the week. And next Monday, I will see you right back here for the evening. Bye-bye. Oh, love you.